Hi, and welcome to the 64 Doors. Today we're going to open door 32. Here we find the Guardian, and this is an archetype that instinctively knows the true value of anything or anyone. We're going to explore the Guardian from a human design perspective and a Gene Key perspective. So here we have the Rave Mandala, which is the same thing as the astrological wheel. And right now we have the Sun in Libra in gate 32, the Earth in Aries in gate 42, and the design part of the cross is the 61 in Capricorn and the 62 in Cancer. So if you're born during these 6 days in Libra, you're going to have the 32 in your personality sun. You're going to have one of these 3 crosses, which are the right angle cross of Maya, the juxtaposition cross of conservation, and the left angle cross of limitation. And you can see that the design part is shifting in the two last crosses, and that's because we have a cross that is not 90 degrees but 88 degrees. So a good way of understanding your crosses is also to go to your gene key profile and read about these 4 gene keys there. We can read the first one to understand what the cross is about. So it's a cross that has the energy of survival by looking for value. It can contain a strong strain of survival, of saving and storing things. It is the energy that is looking for value in others and in materials. You are here to bring these values together in a way to ensure survival and of the self and the species. So here you can feel this is part of the ego circuitry. So you can feel this kind of the ego center is the heart that wants to continue to pump, right? And that's the survival of the self and the species. So going back to the body graph, we see that we have the 32 coming down from the splenic center. So we have been here for a while now in all these splenic gates, and we're still there. The 32 points towards the root center and gate 54. I'm just going to do this so you can see it a little bit better. So here we have, in the circuitry, we have the channel of transformation, a design of being driven. And this is really a channel. When you have this, you can achieve any goal. If you remember when we were doing the 54th door, even think I have it here. This was the achiever who climbs the ladder, right? And the 32 inherently has this discernment of who are the true allies. So together they can really bring transformation. They can really achieve anything. They are very driven. And the 32 alone, it's called the gate of continuity, and it's people with an inborn instinct for knowing the value of things. And let's go into the gene keys. So the gene keys is always looking at each hexagram, each gate, each gene key as a frequency band, where it can either be very positive or not that positive. We have, as human, that whole range of possibility of frequency where we can function or live in a low fear frequency with a lot of tension, with feeling very separated from the rest of the world, or we can open up and trust life and have more of an expansive and loving energy. And nothing is right, nothing is wrong. What we say for human beings is that really the pathway where we learn most is when we can come up to the gift frequency. And that's what, when we look at the living library, it's going to be the green word. So here again, you see the same cross over that we saw in the incarnation cross. So that's the programming partner. So on one side we have the 32, on the other we have the 42. And the low frequency of these two keys are failure and expectation. The gift frequency of the pathway is preservation and detachment, and the highest frequency is celebration and veneration. And I know that we have a few videos if this is something you want to learn more about. One is with Mitty Berry, who was a guardian for, I think it was the 42. And then we also have the video with We have another video, I can't remember now, but we have a couple of them. So maybe we'll just make sure that we put them in the blog section under the door so that you can feel how this energy can look in somebody's life, like how it works. And going in more to where it comes from in the I Ching, we have thunder over wind. That's the 2 trigrams. It's called duration. And here it says, thunder nourishes new seeds, grafting young sprouts to old trees. The transmission continues unimpeded. And you can see here in the geometry of the frequency band that you have 51 in the middle, and then you have 57. So thunder over wind. And it's realization through intention. And that's something I would say with this 32, that it has that good intention. It can even feel the intention of things. That's why it's such a good ally, and it also can feel other allies around it, because it has that splenic intuition or instinct of knowing the value of something. And we have a really interesting codon ring, the ring of illusion, and it's made up of only 2 gene keys, the 32 and the 28. For me, I have those twice. So I have the 28 in my moon, I have it in my Jupiter, so it's my pearl, and I have it in Pluto and in Saturn. So I've really had to taste the patterns of this codon ring. And it's about the illusion of death. And it's coded to guide humanity through the veils of primal fear, fear of death itself, and the fears of dying unfulfilled. And together, they are bringing us in the shadow frequency to postponing our lives. And I can really see this in myself. When I was younger and made money, I felt like I always had to save most of it because I thought I would need it later. And then it basically became a habit for me and made me then think, okay, but why, what tells me that I'm not going to make even more money later? Or if you're following that 32, having the right allies and also the programming partner, the 52, the 54, is like you have that drive, and it's not a good idea to postpone life. It's really what the 28 tells us. It's about living here and now in the moment and taking all the risks that you can take. And that's really what the remedy, you could say, of this illusion is, that if you live 100% in every moment, then the illusion of death is broken, because you have a purpose, and it doesn't matter actually if you die, because you are living so fully. So it's really about cracking that illusion of death and knowing that the immortality lies in living fully moment by moment. And for me, it's been more tuning into the 28 that has taken me there, because in the 32 there is panic, there is fear of failure, and I feel like for me it's been harder, maybe also because that's the Pluto, that's the more far away planet. It's been harder for me to crack that code, but to tune into my moon and my Jupiter and just say, okay, it's worth it to take the risk. I'm just gonna live now. That has helped me to find my purpose, and then to have the 32 also come up into a higher frequency. We are still in astrology in Libra. So here you see a lot of those same keywords: the partner, the diplomat, is the ally again, the collaborations, the connections, service to others through the pursuit of partnership and peace. Integral human design, we go back to this channel. Here it's called a channel of respect. And I love how we have a frequency band for the whole channel. So here, low frequency disrespect, gift frequency respect, and the highest frequency is reverence. And I was just thinking, in the Venus sequence, the keywords that we have for the lines of the EQ, the 5th line is respect and the 6th line is reverence. There is something here about how to treat each other. And also having this be part of the ego circuitry. It could be when we are in the ego, in a low frequency, we're not going to have respect and reverence for each other. But in a higher frequency, that's exactly what happens. And then we go from fragmentation to cooperation to synergy. So that's worth contemplating as well. How do we treat each other in this 32? And then for when we come to the dream arc, I love what Jane Addams is doing. She's painting the 3 animals or dream keys for each one of the frequencies, and then she also paints the mudra. So let's see if it's here somewhere. Otherwise, we can just go and look at it here. So it's a very simple one. Let's see.
Of veneration. It's a very simple one. The left fist holds the right thumb, and then the rest of the right hand wraps around. Veneration refers to the honoring of lineages, the lineages of all those who've come before us, our ancestral lineage, our genetic lineage, our mythic lineage, those who also who will come after us. So it's about assuming our place in the great chain of life. And these are things you might like to contemplate as you're holding this mudra. Those who came before you and those who will come after you. So you close your eyes and just breathe into this mudra.
The mudras are a beautiful way to come closer to the transmission, to the gene keys. And if you get the whole library that Richard has recorded, you can actually do every mudra in the transit. So for 6 days, you would do this mudra. And then next transit, you do that mudra. And maybe you do it a couple of minutes every morning, every night. And really, it feels like that's an encoding of the gene keys on a different level than just the mental understanding. So that's something to try out. And this week in the 32, I would say that the big theme is failure and your relationship to failure. You can look at how has your fear of failure made you postpone your life. And also when you do that, you're actually missing out on the 42, which is the programming partner that has to do with celebration. So are you ready to detach? Are you ready to use a little bit of that risk taking in the 28, which is part of the same codon, and live life fully, and knowing that somehow what's essential, I feel like it's going to stay, and ultimately that's probably just love. But even when we take risks, like what are the things that are fragile, that are not really supposed to be there, they kind of fall away, and then life becomes actually easier. So really look into your fear of failure and see how it stopped you from living. And the other thing is this instinct, this inner knowing with especially other people. This is like a way of discerning who is a true ally, who is not. Do you feel like you have that in you? And maybe now that the sun is in this gate, you can easier tap into that. And you can do this both with strangers and people that you know a little bit and people that you know well, kind of going into that feeling, knowing if they are kind of worth investing in or not. And then I also feel like it is this possibility to look at the ladder, like look at the ones that came before us, so the ancestors, and also looking at the generations that are going to come, and kind of have that understanding of everything, and see that what you are doing today, what I feel is that it actually does impact the generations back. I feel like when I work through my karma, when I mutate my DNA, I do feel like I'm kind of liberating my grandmother or my grandmother or whatever it may be. It feels like it goes back into the lineage. And also with my decisions in everyday life, how I decide to live, I feel like I'm preparing for the coming generations. And when I make decisions that are preserving the earth and things like that, I feel like I'm tuning into that whole span of generation, and really the circles of life that we can see also in the 42, that is all about those kinds of cycles. And we are just here in the middle, but there is really something before and something after. And that's the paradox of like the codon ring of living here fully now, and at the same time being aware of this kind of ladder. And the other thing with the ladder is that we could also speak about the ladder when it comes to frequency, when it comes to consciousness. So you are going to see that on this ladder, wherever you are, there are going to be people that have a, like, when it comes to the evolution of consciousness, they haven't come that far, that they are still discovering, they are still working on themselves. And then there are people that are far beyond, and to kind of see that beauty. And even just when we look at the ladder, look at yourself 5 years back, 10 years back, and where you're aspiring to be 5 years from now, for example. And is that part of like what you want to achievement is an interesting word, but for me, I do feel like to always be at that kind of edge of evolution is something that is super inspiring for me, where I want to learn more and more. And I feel like we want to be on the forefront of the evolution of consciousness. And when we are there, for me, it almost feels as well like there is no failure because we are there, we are evolving, we are opening, we're expanding, we're seeing more, we're understanding more, we're becoming more, we are upgrading. Our DNA is becoming more crystalline, and we are letting go of whatever cell memories are there, and also helping the ones who came before and the ones who are coming after. So for me, this is a very beautiful transit, a beautiful gene key. Not always easy, for sure. And I was speaking to Tim earlier today, and he said with his 32, what he feels is the preservation of beauty. And I felt that was super, super beautiful. So use this week to preserve beauty in your life and to come back to what's really essential, because that's really what we want to bring on, I would say. Thank you.